Hello everyone, my name is Schwan. Today was the second episode of the Osota podcast. Today we have phenomenal known grappler, known sambo fighter, and jiu-jitsu black belt and judo black belt, Vlad. Yeah. Can you, how do you say your name? Your full name?
Vladislav is the legal full name, but nobody calls me that. Just call me
How do
Vlad.
you say your last name?
Kulikov.
Vladislav Koulikov. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes, sir.
okay,
If you watch hockey, this is something that's gonna roll off your tongue fairly easy.
okay. Well, what did a lot of people get your name like say it wrong when you did the full name?
I'm sorry, what?
Do a lot of people when they hear you like talk, do they like get like they don't know how to say your name? Like the
Yeah,
full
yeah,
name.
of course. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That
yes.
happened to me a lot as well. You know what I mean? Mine is Schwan. My name is Schwan. If you didn't know, Schwan me Shwan. It's a Middle Eastern name. So yeah, very some people get confused as well with mine as well. Mostly when I
I
was in school, people say again.
I said I won't get confused with your name.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You're not American or anyone who speaks English.
Yeah.
Okay, easier for the. Okay. Can you just give? Obviously, your name is Vlad. Can you give your background? Where you were born? What year were you born? And just a bit
Yeah,
background on your life and stuff.
sure. Yeah, I was born last century, 1974,
My dad
uh,
was born 1975.
in
You're
Moscow,
older.
which was the capital of a country called USSR.
What country?
Country
Sorry.
no longer exists.
What
Uh,
country? Sorry.
Soviet Union, USSR.
Okay, US. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and currently Russian Federation. So that's where I was born and raised and lived till the age of 21, and that's where I received my sambo training.
Okay, good, good. What got you into grappling? Like, I wanted to first know what got you into sambo, what got you into judo, and what got you into Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Got you. Also, sambo judo is kind of like same breath. Where we
Is it?
mention often those two sports are cross trained at certain level. Usually, once you choose one or the other to the highest level, you don't maybe cross train no more, but it's still done. Uh, uh, just like a natural predisposition, was growing up when there was no gender confusion and stuff. You can also say like that Russia was like almost like a third world country in some degrees. I mean, it was not, but in the same token, it kind of was. And there was no confusion for what girls supposed to look and act like or a boy, and I was normal boy, product of my generation and time or whatever. I worshipped the ground my dad walked in because he was an athlete. I wanted to be just like him. It
Worship
was,
who? Sorry.
my dad was an athlete, and I wanted to be
Uh,
just like
in what
him.
sport?
Boxing and wrestling, and a strongman.
You see, that was a big guy, basically, like strong guy.
He was not all that big actually. He was no more than 100 kgs at his highest or whatever. But yeah, he would perform like feats of strength, bending nails, ripping chains, things of that nature. So that all imprinted in my head, and I wanted to be just like that. That's how I thought man's supposed to look, act, and behave. And it just happens so Sambo 70, one of the most prestigious academies of Sambo in the world and judo, was around the corner, like literally a couple blocks away. And that's where I went and fell in love immediately. And by the end of first practice, I knew I was going to do something with my life with that stuff.
Yeah.
And judo came later. Judo came later, and jiu-jitsu came way later in late 90s. After exposure to UFC and moving to United States, I kind of saw that jiu-jitsu is kind of like sambo. It's the same animal. It's within the
Judo,
same.
basically. It's closer to judo.
Yeah. And I saw like similarities with sambo and differences, and I'm like, this is something I like to do. And that was my introduction to jiu-jitsu, and more so like no-gi submission grappling.
Um, when you this is a question I like to ask people. When you got into came to the jiu-jitsu, right? Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I should say. Be more accurate on that. I should say.
Mhm.
Um, did you have trouble with the guys with their guards, or
Yeah,
did you find
yeah,
it or a lot of
yeah.
trouble?
It was not that there are no techniques could be done in sambo right from the back. There are some things, but it's never systematic. It's like a little trick or hail mary, and there is no concept of guard. You know, like you
True, true.
recover guard, you pull guard, and you use it offensively. There's no such thing whatsoever. Not even in judo, which is way closer to jujitsu. You know what I'm saying?
There is in judo, if I'm not wrong. There
Yeah,
is.
but it depends on competition level. A lot of
Oh
people are.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It depends.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously,
A
it's
lot
not.
of people really negate like the richness of judo network for the sake of being good at one thing. You know, in Nawaza and in the contest. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, yeah. Well, with judo, I think it's older guys like judo in the from what I've read, judo in the 70s and 80s was much better. Obviously, you got the
Oh,
guys
heck
like
yeah.
yeah. Say again.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It was a great grappling style. You know, possibly, maybe even better than Gracie Jiu Jitsu. I'm not stating
Definitely,
an
in my
absolute.
opinion, it is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Jiu-Jitsu nowadays is probably the most refined ground sport. You know, the
Yeah,
Nawasa sport.
definitely.
It is better than Jiu-Jitsu for sure. It is better than some simply due to rule set. If the whole fight happens on the ground, you'll be very good fighting on the ground. If your fight happens on the ground and stand up, you'll be have good on the ground, have good and stand up. You know what I'm saying? Just rule
Yeah,
set dictates
50-50.
behavior and tactics. Boom.
Yeah,
And I don't think that like Jiu-Jitsu is the best grappling sport ever. It's outrageously refined, like I said, but it's still only good in a certain context. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like I would not pull a guard if somebody like insults my wife or my honor, and it's absolutely time to throw down. I'm not gonna like fall on my butt, and
yeah.
it's not gonna happen like that. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think nowadays a lot of people. I want to just get briefly on this. I actually haven't written this down, but I was wondering on you yourself. So many people you hear in Joe Rogan or I don't know that old American bald guy who like explains. He's like, my God, jujitsu's and this, that, and they like to kind of hype up jujitsu in a way and they probably paid their jiu-jitsu Gracie's or who knows, but
Mhm.
a lot of times you see those, and they try to hype up jiu-jitsu. Why do you think Americans jiu-jitsu was so strong in America? Do you think it's because of the Gracies? Do you think it's because naturally spread with a thing? Because a lot of because jiu-jitsu is very famous in America, and a lot of people think it's the best grappling art. Do you think this was because of the Gracie's marketing or
Yeah,
something?
absolutely, man. Absolutely. It is a great martial art for sure.
Definitely, I agree. I train.
It could be extremely effective, fairly new into your as a beginner because there's no throws. You know what I'm saying? And not that it's not a hard trade, it is a hard trade, but comparatively, it's an effective and fairly easy martial art compared to like
Yeah.
Taekwondo when you have to jump or Judo and Sambo when you throw people around. So that's why people flock to it. And moreover, the marketing machine was always rigged for jujitsu. Like if a judoka or sambist or even a wrestler won the first UFC, right? Then the landscape of grappling could have been very different in America and the
Mm,
rest of the world. But
yeah.
because it was a jiu-jitsu guy who won quite a few first UFCs, that niche, grappling niche in America and in the world probably too, is firmly occupied with jiu-jitsu, which is weird because the most practiced grappling sport in the world is judo. Even in Brazil,
True. True.
judo is way more popular than jiu-jitsu. You know what I'm saying? But
True.
the exposure and all kind of stuff, like like a little few ancillary things that kind of stuck to jiu-jitsu, like its affiliation with MMA and modern martial arts, brings it like a cream to the surface. So,
Yeah.
and I think it's
Definitely.
there to stay. I doubt that catch wrestling, or sambo or whatever, or any other sport, even judo, I don't think it will ever supersede jiu-jitsu popularity like at this point.
Yeah, I think I don't know what you think, but like I think that Gracie's really was smart with the sense of like they never brand like for example what's the name of that Alexander oh my god how did I forget his name the Greco-Roman guy
Stand
guy
Karelin?
Karelin yeah Karelin I think wasn't that old back then so it's really interesting if someone like Karelin came in he would have obviously
Of
destroyed
course, of course.
Groys yeah he was amazing
Yeah, but what if history does not operate in terms of what if? We only know what happened.
yeah
What if is strictly speculation and exercise of your brain creativity.
yeah well Um, like what I mean, like, did you think the Gracies like tried to like didn't want as much grapplers in from the early UFCs and stuff? Because you see, even in their like challenge matches, you see very it being like not as much grapplers, just more karate guys, taekwondo guys. Why do you think it was that, and why do you think they weren't showing? They beat judo guys and stuff, but they never like they never at the start went after the guys. You know, the guys now they do because they're like all into the god putting and stuff. But like why do you think it was that in the early UFCs and stuff, not as much like sambo guys or judo guys came in? Why did
Yeah,
they
but
make like them?
possibly they say, and I'm only repeating here like a parrot. I don't know, but supposedly, Horan Gracie castrated the talent going in the first UFC pool. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Ken Shamrock was the only like legit grappler. You know.
True, true.
But they were saying about some other grapplers and Horian allegedly. I don't know what happened, and I honestly don't care much. But supposedly there were better grapplers that could have been representing other styles of grappling in
I
the
do
UFC.
think so. Yeah.
But it didn't happen. And again, I don't know, and I
Yeah.
don't care.
Roy, yeah, I mean Royce Gracie. When you look at his grappling at that moment, he didn't look as strong. Like even like later on when he faced Yoshida, like Yoshida beat him up in gi. That's why he had to go no gi in the second match. So it just kind of showed the marketing. But you know it is what it is. With you know the Gracie always I'll say one thing always I don't like them. A lot of stuff they said and what I've seen, but like they're geniuses in marketing. Sambo, can you tell me a bit about Sambo history? Like, what do you just how Sambo came around, how it developed?
Yeah, in a nutshell. So sambo is an amalgamatic sport or art. Means it has few components, and it is
Sorry, say again the word. I didn't hear you.
yes, sambo has a lot of components, a lot of moving parts as far as where it came from, the roots. And it is true that one of the founders of sambo, Vasily Shepkov was his name. He was the first Russian Kodokan black belt, and he brought judo to Russia. And but then he modified. He started calling it something else, which eventually turned into sambo. Means it's an acronym, means self-defense without weapons. So yes, judo is a big component of sambo wrestling. However, due to research and development and further development, it became like a sport, grappling sport of its own. Yes, yes, you can say it's like Russian judo, but it also is not. You know what I'm saying? So he actually, Oshepkov, the judo guy, was the one who introduced the shoes and a different cut of the jacket, the kurtka, and then some moves from folk style wrestlings were introduced, like from Moldova, Georgia, Kazakhstan, whatever, Tatar wrestling.
Turkish.
All the indigenous wrestling styles were implemented in sambo too. You know, so that's where you see all these little funky grips and weird stuff that's kind of like judo, but yet kind of not like judo. You know, and it is, I guess, somewhat like a mix of wrestling and judo, even in appeal, like literally, right? You have the top jacket, like gi, and a
I've got a question. So this is something I've heard a lot of people say. Did catch wrestling have an effect on Sambo to a great degree or not?
people, not to my knowledge. Like I don't know. I don't. I would say judo more so, but
But where did the
they
knee
say
bars
there is,
come from?
you
The
know,
knee bars.
especially the leg lock stuff. I don't know. I would have to research. I don't know.
What I heard, at least from what I know, I forgot the guy's name. Cherry actually talked about it. There was a guy judo guy apparently came up with the knee bar, developed this techniques to, at least from what I heard. But yeah, the knee bars in Sambo are great. I love them. A very attack based from pressure, and it's really nice because nowadays you just see guys being with the guard, but I think it's cooler when just pressure
Yeah,
forward.
yeah, the rolling knee bar. Yeah, uh huh.
Yeah, definitely. You're something you're known for. Very good at. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Um, so what did you do before getting into martial arts? You told me once you went to university. What did you do? Like what?
Uh, well, no, the first thing I got into martial arts. Everything else came second.
Yeah.
Yes, I was when I went to college. I specialized in journalism. And I actually even wrote a few articles being back home in Russia when I was, 20 and 21, or slightly under even. So what happened? I thought I have a pretty good command of English language, and I thought I can even like captivate somebody with my speech. But for a brief while, I trained in a Taekwondo gym. It's called Dojang, and for each belt, which was so easy to obtain, it's besides the point. But like Taekwondo commercial formula in America is very sad, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so I was training Taekwondo, and for each belt, you're supposed to write an essay. Like, what does this belt mean to you? What does the training mean to you? What is your future goals in Taekwondo? Blah, blah, blah. All right. And then you'll read it in front of the instructor. And I thought I'm going to smoke everybody and write the best goddamn essay ever. But we had a lady and the lady specialized in English language. She went to college, and her major was English. And instructor would call somebody in front of the class to read that essay, And when she came out and read it, everybody cried. It was outrageously
Right.
well written. It was written so gosh darn good, Sean, that I figured
Schwan.
yeah, and I
Schwan, not
figured
Schwan.
Schwan that I know
Yeah,
SH.
sorry. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
and I figured there's no way I can match my skill to hers, and why even bother? And just like that, I decided not to be a journalist, other than correcting people's grammar and lack of.
Yeah, you have also one thing that I think when you text is only once I've seen you just like mess up a spelling. Like you've done your spelling is so perfect. It's crazy. Yeah, my spelling I either mess it up because I'm with spelling or I just like do like slang grammar if you know what I mean. Like
It's
grammar, but like yeah. So
no worries. It just I promised you to shed some light on the whole journalism thing, and and there it is.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So this is something. This I think this people don't like this. What when it comes to difference between intensity, the way of training, what is the main differences between Russian training in like martial arts, anything in general, like Russian training in grappling and Russian training in and sorry no, I mean what is the difference between training in Russia and America in terms of intensity, the way of teaching? What are the main differences, and which one was better?
Mm. Uh, Listen, American judo is a bit in of a sad state or whatever, except for a couple people perhaps. But American wrestling is awesome, so I guess they do something correct. And what's kind of funny, that America has a unique style of wrestling called collegiate, scholastic, or folk style. It's the
Folk
same.
style.
It's three words for the same style of wrestling:
Yeah,
collegiate,
yeah, both.
scholastic, or folk style. And they still do traditionally very well, very comparable with Russians and Turkish and Iranians and Azeris or whatever. But imagine if they just train in freestyle or Greco Olympic styles from the get go. I still enjoy Scholastic. I still enjoy the rule set. It's a cool kind of wrestling. So what I'm saying, man, Russians do not own monopoly on perfect training.
Yeah,
Uh, but it is somewhat different, and there's like more sequential. There's more play. In Russian wrestling
yeah,
gym
I've heard of that. I've heard of
of
that.
any sort, sambo, judo, Olympic styles of wrestling, the freestyle of Greco, a lot of games, a lot of games to develop the sensitivity and pull and trigger. Of course, we train hard, and of course, we lift and do all that stuff and grind. And allegedly, like I've never done any PEDs, I've never done any enhancement drugs, but supposedly, like they do that, I guess that helps too.
Well, yeah, it's every country. Russia and America are known for it.
Yeah, everybody juices. But yes, more like so. What I'm saying, as opposed to like drilling a takedown, you'll drill a combination of takedowns into some kind of pin or submission. A sequence, like how it's going to take place. You're going to take somebody down, secure the top position, and submit. So as opposed to drilling single moves, we do a lot of sequential drilling of that nature. And like I said, a lot of play, a lot of attitude. It's okay to be scored on, it's okay to give and take. You know what I'm saying? That type of deal.
Hmm. I heard something. This is from you've heard of Frost the Hobby, right?
Yeah, oh, of course. But it's a hobby, yes.
Um, he said something once on his podcast. I would like to, and I was wondering what you think. He once said that when the reason, obviously going back to the playfulness and the style of training, he said that the style of training, you see all these guys in. He said that how the Rush. I don't know about this. I'm just asking you, but in Russia, apparently a lot of the and they bring out a lot of talent. Multiple, like 10 dozens of people are really good. But in the US, guys who do good are mostly prodigies. So do you agree with that or not?
Yes, to a degree, I know exactly what you're saying. It's even often in a case in certain gyms. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't operate the program correctly, then you'll have guys here and there rising up. But if you run things correctly, then the whole room rises. Of course, you'll have your athletic freaks and your wonderkins or whatever. But generally, like again, if the training process is correct, the elevation of the whole room grows. And I totally agree. Like for example, the pedigree we receive at Sambist, even the crappiest sambo player, crappiest Sambist, is still legit, and his skills are threatening. You know what I'm saying? Even the most, not the most successful, and not the best one in jiu-jitsu, but sambo skills are legit and they're real. You know what I'm saying? It's a great style. It's more maybe not the most refined on the ground like jiu-jitsu, but it's still better than aikido or system or some other bullshit. You know?
Sistema is Russian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen some stuff on it. It looks like, from what I've seen, the self defense to certain extent. I look at it at the start. To me, I haven't watched it in a long time. I've seen some footage, but it looks real for a second. But then they do something. I'm like, this is bullshit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you think it's real, but yeah. When did that come around? Do you know any history on that?
No, not really. Sistema, it means simply system. I think it's a fairly new martial art, and I think the way it was born was like fairly decent. You know, Vladimir Vasiliev was the guy's name, and it's kind of like combat sambo plus aikido plus breathing and like a lot of mental component, a lot of movement component. And I was okay with that, but somewhere over the course of years, it became fat dudes doing no touch knockouts, and that's when I lost my respect and interest. You know.
Wait, so it's no touch knockouts.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
okay.
there's this guy Mikhail Ryabko, and he knocks fools out with his giant fucking belly. It's crazy, you know. Like I can't respect that or get behind it, you know.
Yeah, very dishonorable. You know,
Exactly.
not like not a true martial artist. You know what I mean? Like I feel
I,
like. Sorry, say again.
no, I agree. That sounds like baloney to me. It sounds lame.
Yeah, lame, definitely. You know, a lot of martial artists. The thing is, on a lot of times, I see guys feeding off this, like on YouTube, and it's like, fake martial artist. Like, do you think there's any such thing as a fake martial artist? Because people say they're fake martial artists, but I feel like when you look at guys, like they're for example, Aikido. They're I think we've discussed this before. Aikido has opponents that make sense. If someone's an Aikido black belt, does that make them a fake martial artist, even though they're a high level Aikido skill and
Well,
knowledge?
you have to listen. Just like Rene Descartes said, we have to agree on definitions. You know, like what is martial artist. Once we define what martial artist is, then we can discuss. To me, martial artist is the guy who can fight. Boom, pretty simple. You know, fight
Yeah,
a real opponent. So Aikido is strictly a self-defense art. You know what I'm saying? And although techniques, the wrist locks and stuff and movement is all legit, but they never done against a resistant opponent, and it's only done against like a premeditated reaction. You know what I'm saying? I think that judoka, wrestler, or sambist will have way better wrist lock in real time than aikido guy. You know what I'm saying? So it's not the techniques that I question, it's the methods of training, because the wrist locks, they mostly work and stuff. But like if somebody comes at you with this kind of attack and the wrist lock, it's silly. It has to be
yeah.
put in the context of a real fighting. So
I mean, the samurai used it. You know, what I mean, so I feel like Aikido. I've seen some stuff about Aikido being good in certain contexts, but I feel like
yeah.
Aikido's gotten like there are, from what I've heard, there are versions of Aikido. When some of them are better, some of them are more wrestling like, some of them this. Then I've heard them. I don't exactly remember. They're different styles, but like yeah, general Aikido. It's it's not that good. It's gotten into a point like it's gotten to a point where like it's just you see the samurai doing it, you Japanese jiu-jitsu, and you see
Yeah,
their
like
stuff is legit.
Aikijuso, Tomiki Aikido. Yeah, yeah. Look, dude, I use a lot of Aikido in my play. A lot of deception, redirection, and wrist locking. But again, I use it against guys that are moving differently and don't come at me like robots.
Hmm. Yeah, the thing is, it's interesting because a lot of the stuff they do is like kata. You know, kani. Oh, I don't even know the word. You know the word for judo. They have kata no katami or something like that, where like the
Yeah.
guy goes, yeah,
Kara no kata.
yeah, yeah. And the guy does that, and that was a training and understand principles, and obviously still spot, but they just have the kata, which is not as good, so they don't get.
Kumi no kata. There we go. Kumi no
Yeah,
kata.
yeah. They don't. Yeah, I think that's an issue. They don't spar, and I feel like most martial arts do spar, but I feel like people like karate don't spar. This guys, but everyone spars. But I feel like yeah, you from sparring you learn definitely, and they're all set.
But then again, we have to decide what kind of sparring. Like, if it's a point sparring, is it really sparring?
It's
If
sport.
you don't, yeah, if you don't have to defend yourself for real, like, excuse me, if you do not have to duck the punch that's coming or block it, like for real, if you know it's gonna punch air, like, is it martial art? Not in my book.
Um, so I want to ask one question. What do you think of flow? So I've done this before with friends, but I've had one friend who's explained, who said it's good to do flow sparring. There's obviously flow grapple. I've seen it many times on your channel.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that helps a lot, or do you think someone should okay? Let's say if someone is it, I have 1 week. Let's say I currently I'm not training because of an injury, but let's say I had 1 week to spar, and let's say I had a camp in a fight camp for
Yeah.
5 weeks or 3 weeks.
Mm.
In those weeks, how many days should someone, let's say, do flow sparring, flow grappling, whatever? Let's say I'm doing
Well, it
BJJ.
all depends. Great question. Great question. Listen, when I was a little bit younger, I'm 48 right now. When I was younger, like I played very little. It was a dogfight almost every sparring match, you know. And now I play more, and it's not necessarily flow. There is a difference. Flow, there's almost zero resistance, and it does have place in learning, you know, as a learning curve, as a learning little tool or whatever. So it's not necessarily flow. We resist. We just try to take a combative element like dogfight out of this, and techniques are real and its speed is real. It just we both of us accept it's okay to get scored on. Like even if my white belt, blue belt, whatever, does something that has grain of sense and I like where it goes, I will give up a couple points. I'll let him score and then come up. And sometimes and once you develop the psychic connection, there's only few guys I can spar like that, and I cherish him like treasure. And sometimes I also know when to kick up a gear, you know. So we'll play no combative element, and then I start to pick up the pace, or maybe my guy, and we just naturally roll into that, you know. And I
Mhm.
love it. At my age right now, I would find more merit in this type of drilling and sparring versus even lifting. You know what I'm saying? So I've been
Yeah,
doing a lot of stuff like that. And technique is still real. They go down with full force. It just you flow a little bit, you know.
yeah,
And yeah. Right now, it serves me better than maybe it did not serve me as much earlier, but now it does.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Who are the people you? Can you name some of the people who you say can like flow grapple and still be really, really good? Who other people can you name? Like famous.
A lot of people. Marcelo Garcia is one of those. He always moves like water. Mendes brothers, Jacare, tons of people, tons of as far as wrestlers, so I've been on a huge kick of this Chechen wrestler, Soviet Russian wrestler, Adam Saitiev. He's got a brother, Buvasai Saitiev, who competed in 4 Olympics, winning 3, so that's
I've heard of
outrageous.
them.
Yeah, and Adam only won 1 Olympics, you know, so that but by math, by this math, you know, Olympic math, he kind of fails in comparison. But gosh darn, he's outrageous. He's a master and an artist, and he's something special to watch.
He used a lot of judo, if I'm not wrong. He used a lot of uchimata. He was known for his uchimata. Yeah, if Adam Satiev. It was
Yeah,
his brother, or, well, yeah, they were both known for
they
uchimata.
both they
Definitely.
yeah they both were very unorthodox, very funky. I mean, whatever they've done still fits into rule set of freestyle wrestling, but they were like light years ahead and completely non-standard. I love both of those guys, but particularly Adam. He's just like something else, man. This guy.
Yeah, I've seen him. It definitely helps when you cross train in judo. You know what I mean? Because I
For
feel like,
sure.
yeah, I don't think that uchimata. Because I've never seen any wrestler really who hasn't trained judo like do the uchimata. Because it seems like it's harder to do without the gi. Definitely. Uh,
You know what? No,
you
no,
say?
not really, man. In Russia, Russian wrestlers often never even cross train a day in their life in judo or sambo, and they still learn this throw. You know, they don't call uchimata, you know, but they learn it. It happens.
It's in wrestling, or do you think that it's influenced it? Do you think it's influenced it?
No, it just you know, maybe at one point it influenced or whatever, but like I see a lot of wrestling doing haraigoshi and uchimata. They just don't call it that, you know, and they
Yeah.
never cross train in judo. I mean, there's only so many ways you can throw somebody, you know. We all have mostly right 2 arms and 2 legs and 1 head and 1 body, 1 torso. So there's only so many configurations and grips you can do, you know. And when the sport has takedowns, eventually they're going to replicate each other. Just slight difference between the grips, you know. You'd use different grips in judo, opposed to whizzers and underhooks in freestyle wrestling.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So when I ask, out of so obviously we all know jiu-jitsu is the best ground law, right? But would you say out of like sambo, right? And I'm gonna ask to out of judo, who was one guy who like before this is before BJJ because if I'm not wrong in the 70s was when BJJ really became ground oriented completely. Um, who is the best judoka you've seen from videos, from who you've sparred, who had such amazing groundwork with training BJJ, but like just naturally had really good groundwork from training a lot of judo and like.
Kashiwazaki, it's an easy. Komuro, Kashiwazaki, of course. I know Flavio Canto has his honorary black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, and I know he teaches judo to Ribeiro brothers, but I don't know how much he actually spent training in Jiu-Jitsu, you know what I'm saying? So
Um,
I would say Cantos Newaza is very Jiu-Jitsu-esque without him being a true Jiu-Jitero.
Yeah. He from what I heard, he taught the 14. I mean, like Kashiwazaki, yeah, definitely. His instructionals on YouTube, and that guy, he's brilliant for a lot of stuff he said. Like he, the way he like shows techniques is brilliant. Like him, the thing is, I feel like when he's someone who, if he was in the modern age and trained other techniques and trained like knew the new techniques and stuff, or the reinvented techniques, whatever, he would have done a lot better. Like he would have done really good in BJJ, I would say.
Who's that?
I mean, I would
Kashi-
say, I said if he trained like
Yeah,
what
for
BJJ.
sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. Mhm.
he
Um,
had. Go ahead, sorry.
Aoki, another guy, he started as a judoka.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's another one
Flying
I like.
armbar dude. Flying
Yeah,
armbar dude.
flying
Yeah.
armbar.
Just everything. I love. Even in judo, you did like it's crazy how good he was at the flying armbar. Yeah, and also Koji Komura. Yeah, he's really really good. He had like a lot of times I've seen it's in Japanese at least, the way they spar is like their base is so strong with their legs as they from what I've seen, like they're really how unique where like if you're the guy on them, some guys they'll like wait and like they're kind of squatting low, and he would like control the opponent and have really good balance. He wouldn't get swept. So that's something I've seen. That's really
Yeah.
impressive. Favorite submission? Your favorite submission? Out of submission and throw. Sorry, yeah, submission and throw.
Favorite throw, Ogoshi, hip belt grip. And favorite submission, Americana with leg from scarf hold.
From leg from scarf hold. Yes, yes, yes. Um. Okay, so this is a bit of an interesting question, maybe a bit long. Out of the you obviously in jiu-jitsu, in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, what do you think the future is with Brazilian jiu-jitsu? Do you think Brazilian jiu-jitsu is still going to go down this time where it's so ground-oriented, or do you think Brazilian jiu-jitsu will like get to more throws, or do you think it will stay? Like, what do you think is the future of Brazilian jiu-jitsu in terms
I
of...
think it's gonna stay the same. If it changes, it becomes more like a throw centrific. It's gonna be like a pale parody of judo. You know what I'm saying? And we already have judo. So I think in no-gi jiu-jitsu, wrestling will take a bit of a stronghold, you know, and particularly in events like ADCC, you know, where wrestling is emphasized. But as far as if jiu-jitsu rules do not change, there is no really need to, you know, you can be a jiu-jitsu world champion without knowing a single takedown or single takedown defense. That's the
Yeah,
reality, and unless rules change, it's going to be the same way. But once the rules change, to emphasize more stand up, it will become more like judo, and we already have judo.
why do you think this is something? So I've listened to some stuff and saw some videos on it, but like I would like to know your opinion. Why do you think it is that we've discussed this before, but why do you think it is that that's okay? Nah, this is the question I was going to ask. Out of all the three federations, right? The most obviously the sports that most strongest grappling arts, in my opinion, personally, would be judo, sambo, and BJJ, right? Out of
Mhm.
those three, right? Um, which has the best federation? So IGF, the Sambo Federation, IBJJF. Which
IGF.
one has the
Well,
strongest
you have to
federation?
define. You have to
Like
define.
best, like best quality
I'd
wise.
say IGF. IGF. IBJJF is a for-profit organization, and that's my biggest gripe with it. You know, they run good events. They're popular. They have good pool of contestants. All that stuff. It's just for-profit organization, where sambo and judo are non-profit. With judo being way more popular. So, boom, that's your answer. I think International Judo Federation (IGF), sorry, is the best model, most successful. You know, judo is
Mm,
practiced than any other, more so than any other grappling art.
definitely, definitely. How do I say this? Okay, so With Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, like but how to explain this? In Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, do you think Brazilian Jiu Jitsu will always stay as a hobby sport? Like, do you think it's gonna? So Brazilian Jiu Jitsu isn't taken that seriously by other like such as Olympics or other federal people with sports. Do you think it's ever gonna change with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu becoming more Olympics or something?
No, it's not. It's not going to be Olympics.
Ever?
It might gain popular. I'll tell you why too. It might gain popularity. It's already kind of like in a league of its own. You know, they're trying to make like pay-per-view events and excitement and sub-only events. It's going in a good direction. I like it. So why it's not going to be Olympic sport? Do you know the motto of Olympics? Faster, higher, stronger, something like that, right? In Latin. So whenever you compete in a combat sport at Olympic caliber, whenever I step on a mat or ring or whatever, I presume I'm faster, higher, stronger than you, right? I want to kick ass. I want to be aggressive and go after that. Where the very essence of jujitsu is not being aggressive, but rather accepting the fact that you're smaller, weaker, or whatever, pulling guard, getting the bottom position, playing patience game, and capitalizing on your partner's mistake that he makes eventually, or you make him make. Okay, this is not the making of Olympics. Okay, uh, it's gonna have to be bigger, faster, stronger. It's a very specific type of game, and it requires a specialized spectator. You know, and even I am, who's a specialized spectator, I get born to tears watching jujitsu. I can only imagine the layperson. When you watch wrestling, oh, the blue singlet just tossed the red singlet over his head. Oh my God. I don't know anything about wrestling, but I know that's crazy. Or white gi just tossed the blue gi with Uchimata. I don't even know the name Uchimata, but it looked like a crazy throw. I get it. It's very spectator friendly. You can buy it right away without knowing too much. Where jiu-jitsu, oh my gosh, he just cleared his knee line. Oh my God, oh, he got the knee line back again. It's it's not exciting, man. It would be exciting to some people that understand the minutia of advancement on the ground. I call it battle of Stalingrad. Sometimes when you do a pass, you literally have to pull your knee through, then your shin, then your toes, and then eventually get to the oh my God, it's so boring as hell, man. It's okay to participate, but nobody will watch it. It will never be Olympic. And again, if you start to change rules in jiu-jitsu, trying to make it spectator friendly, I think sooner or later you're gonna run into Judo 2.0.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion. That all that plus IBJJ being a for-profit organization is not gonna make it Olympic sport
Hmm.
anytime soon, if ever.
Yeah, if
And I'm not
ever.
being like ha 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 glad. I'm just like expressing like what I
Yeah,
observed
yeah.
and what I think is gonna happen. I'm not making happy because it's not gonna be Olympic sport. I'm just saying through my understanding, that's how it's gonna go down or not
Hmm.
gonna go down.
Who did you get a black belt from?
Say what?
A BJJ black belt. Who did you get it from? Who's it?
I got my jiu-jitsu black belt from Rafael Formiga Barbosa. His name is Rafael Barbosa, but every jiu-jitero has a nickname, and his is Formiga, which means an ant. And I received my black belt from him the November 15th, 2017.
2017. Okay. Who was like what is your nickname in grappling? What do you have a nickname or no?
Impale.
No.
It's simple. Now, when I fought MMA, I dubbed myself Impale because my name is Vlad. That was an easy pick, So boom,
Oh, Vlad the Player. Oh yeah, yeah.
Vlad
What
the
was your
Impale.
record? Did you fight pro MMA?
No, I had mixed mixed matches, some pro, some not so pro. 5 matches back in early 2000s, and I did not go on with that career. I wanted to test myself. I wanted to test my jiu-jitsu and my grappling, and never got tapped, never got knocked out. Could have done a little bit better, but yeah, I tested myself. I've done it. I done it.
So what was your record?
Uh, my record was 1 win, one no contest, not no contest, one draw, and 3 losses by points by referees' decisions.
Hmm.
Five matches,
Would you say again? Sorry.
5 matches total, 5 fights.
Okay. Would you say that it wasn't for you, like the sport?
You know what? Like, it sounds like a whole bunch of excuses, and I freaking hate that. But it was early in into MMA days or whatever. I did not cut weight. I did not have manager. I did not cross train. I trained hard, and I took that fighting seriously. but did not have ancillary things that like better athletes had. Not better athletes, more prepared athletes. Camp,
Mhm.
coach, nutritionist, this and that, you know. And I fought at my natural weight where all people cut weight, you know. Uh, I did not have like a coach supporting me. I just survived on my old sambo skills plus boxing, you know. And I had to experiment and put it all together at early age. So I think I could have done better, but like no shame in my game. I'm happy I did that. I just wish I won a couple more times, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Sorry, just something came up on the
No
phone.
worries.
God, just sorry, just the phone is just something coming up, and I'm trying to get rid of it. There, yeah, there. Yeah, definitely. MMA is tough nowadays. MMA's gone to its own point, and it's became its own sport in a way. You know what I mean? Very good. What do you think? Like, do you think MMA guys, in MMA, there are many people that like MMA's people in MMA are like not the best. Most MMA fighters are not the best grapplers, not the best strikers, and not the best. Right anyway. Do you think there'll be at a point where MMA will surpass every single martial art in terms of popularity and will become like the number one when everyone is basically just training like all stars together? Like, do you think that's gonna happen?
Uh, No, man, I don't think it will happen. I think people that want to fight professionally will be training equally all, all aspects of the game. But I think game is, bunch of games are going to be super specialized. Taekwondo will stay Taekwondo with crazy kicking and no punching, you know what I'm saying? Boxing will stay only hands art, and wrestling will be only wrestling, and so forth and so on. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think MMA will surpass. Dude, to be honest with you, I like the sport. I enjoy it, but like I'm getting fed up with MMA culture and the values that it promotes and stuff. You know, so I used to purchase every single UFC and Pride back in the day. Did not skip one for like years. And now, man, I could care less. I still watch highlights and I enjoy MMA and fights in generally more so than soccer or whatever, but I don't stay up. My priorities change. I train more so for myself than being entertained by watching fights. And I don't like people, man. They all assholes. They talk. I don't like it. I don't like the culture, man. It's a huge turn off. You know.
You don't like the trash talk.
What do you say?
You don't like the trash talk.
Yeah, I do not like the trash talk. No,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I
Um,
understand fights, like I get it, but it's not my cup of tea. I don't want it, and I vote
because
with my remote. If I don't like it, I'm not gonna ban it. I'm just not gonna watch it. You know.
yeah, definitely. With yeah, definitely. I think the biggest one where like turn off for people, like turn off the screen off and everything, where they got annoyed was when Habib Nurmagomedov went faced Conor McGregor. That was like the pin of whatever. Like that off. You know what I mean? I think that was the moment where everyone really got
Yeah.
annoyed and stuff. Got a question. So as I just talked about Habib Nurmagomedov, what do you think of his skill? Do you think his how high, like his grappling skill? Do you think it's very high level, or do you think it's just average for just MMA grappler? Like, what do you think?
Uh, it is high level. Period. I don't know how he would like fare in ADCC. I think he'd fare pretty well, just like Rostam Steve. And he's got a perfect blend for MMA, man. That's exactly you nailed. You hit the nail on the head. I still think he's good grappler. Period. Altogether, but like his determination and drive, and the ground control is like perfect for pounding and like MMA type of groundwork. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. A lot of the times, you've watched the matches, right? Matches and stuff. I'm pretty sure. Um,
Yeah.
you'd say what would you say? This is my opinion personally, but from what I've seen, uh, I feel like sometimes he would make a lot of even whenever I heard from his interviews and stuff from his coaches, he would make a lot of he would a lot of times he would force a lot of he has great technique definitely, but a lot of times he would force it also, so he could just get for the ground and pound. That's something I've realized about it. Have you sort of thought the same thing as well? Like sometimes he forces techniques or no?
Yeah. He's a bit of a like badger bully. I'd say that Islam Makhachev is a bit more technical. And again, my observation, we can disagree on the criteria of
No, I
technical.
agree. I agree.
I think that Habib is more like driven, more like a bully in the best way possible, where Islam is more like an artist and more of a technician.
Yeah, he has a really nice. Yeah, Islam has a really nice. He has a really nice. He has a really nice Haragoshi. Uh,
Yeah,
that he was
yeah,
really
man.
good at it, and people, they get scared of his techniques and stuff. Definitely. Would you, when obviously, when the way, the style of in sambo, obviously most in all parts of Russia, sambo is trained, right? Mostly. Would you say these that the different parts of Russia will have trained the sambo do it differently? Some maybe don't do leg locks properly.
Absolutely, yeah. It is weird because the rules are the same for everybody. Whenever we contest in sambo, whatever part of Russia you are or foreign country, rules are the same. But yeah, in some weird way, different geographical regions in Russia often tend to focus on different things. Like in central Russia, for example, people pay a little bit more attention to groundwork. Like parter, we call it partia on the ground, like nevaza, where in other gyms and other parts of Russia, it's more like judo, more like very refined throws, uchimata judo like, So absolutely, signature in sambo wrestling differs from region to region due to cultural preferences, differences, and like culture of the particular region. Yes,
Yeah.
sambo styles differ.
Yeah, a lot of the Dagestanis, they I've never ever seen them do leg locks. I've seen some do leg locks, but rarely. I've seen them a lot of times just trying to lean their opponent, get their own tired, and pick them
Yeah,
up, slam them, and yeah,
yeah.
really interesting. But yeah, definitely the cultures do affect it a lot, and I do
Mhm.
think that's the reason nowadays you see a lot more of those. As you said, the ADCC. You think jiu-jitsu is gonna get more of the wrestling dudes from like Russia and
Mhm.
a lot of the Eastern European countries as a jiu-jitsu, they're gonna dominate a lot of the um, Americans or other Brazilians and stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. They, but yeah, the leg locks is their biggest weakness, I'd say.
Yeah,
When yeah,
because modern jiu-jitsu, yeah, you see, in sambo we don't have heel hooks. We never have to defend them or deal with them. But in modern sub-only jiu-jitsu meta, it's all about inside heel hooks. That's why whenever I see like somebody like Kurjev against Tai, Ruotolo, I'm like, man, why do you even bother? You're gonna lose to this kid because the rule set you compete, not favoring the rule set in sambo. So like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
what's his yeah, he got heel hooked. Even like his last match against someone, he got heel hooked again. If he got ankle locked, I think he knows how to defend knee, but he knows how to defend it. But like, yeah, that's an issue with heel hooks and stuff. And heel hooks are so hard. I mean, they're so good. So yeah, definitely. Even though he's trained jiu-jitsu and he knows how the techniques and stuff. He
Mhm.
still is having issues, and that's something that But yeah, definitely. I've seen him grappling matches recently. I don't know if you've seen it, but like, they're Russians, and there was a team was like with Brazilians and Americans, and there was a Russian
Yeah,
team.
yeah, yeah, like a quintet type of deal.
Yeah, yeah, I was recently. I'm sorry, I forgot it. And the Russian team won. And they were obviously two of them got healed up, but there was one which was defending really well. And then like I've heard from Craig Jones, he said that potentially the leg lock game is getting out of jiu-jitsu. Would you say that is like more people are leg locking? He said there's gonna be a different era in jiu-jitsu with wrestling. Would you say you agree or like?
Absolutely, of course. Jiu-jitsu always evolves, and absolutely, I saw the previous. Hello,
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Go
no
ahead.
word. The previous spiral in jiu-jitsu evolution was leg locks, and now it's wrestling. Yeah, I totally see that meta change for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, like a lot more people defending there. I'd say, do you think leg locks will come to MMA? Because even from what I've seen, guys when they do knee balls and stuff, they make mistakes with the setup and the gal. Like I see the knee ball, like when I do knee balls, they're very clean and they get in, like they're tight. You know what I mean? They're difficult to get out of. Why?
Mm.
Why do you think that leg locks will be more frequent in MMA, or do you think they won't come as much, or do you think the era won't come in?
Well, if you lose the position for leg locks, you're on the bottom getting pounded, and it's a little bit harder to control with gloves and no gi or whatever. We still have leg lock specialists, Martin Held, remember, Imanari, a couple other people that come leg locks with complete disregard to any other body part. But no, I think MMA sub meta is not going to be leg lock heavy, man. I don't think so. I think it's going to be like striking, top control, and like strangle heavy, maybe arm locks. But leg locks are dangerous. And
Yeah.
then if you want to make them effective, then you have to train almost exclusively in them. but then you're going to miss up training on everything else.
Yeah, I think if someone comes in with like already jiu-jitsu game, but obviously a bit of wrestling, and they come in to do the striking, and they have and they already have good groundwork.
Hmm.
They could already, I think, they would do good. But like someone like Ryan Hall, you've heard of Ryan Hall, right? Ryan Hall.
Yes. Sound disappeared for a second there, Schwan. Hello, I can see you, but no sound. There we go.
Yeah, okay. As I was gonna say, I have to fix this now. Anyways, as I was gonna say, Ryan Hall, he was really good, but he got knocked out. Yeah, definitely, he got knocked out by Ilya Topuria. Yeah, definitely an issue. What? Okay, this is my last question. Well, two. I have two questions. First one, would you what out of 5 countries or 3, 4 countries? Let's say five. What are the 5 top countries in grappling? Where they're the best in judo in the out of judo, sambo, and jiu-jitsu? What are 5 countries that
Russia.
dominate those three grappling?
I would say Russia number one, and America.
Mm-hmm.
As far as amalgamic approach, because Russia has excellent wrestling, like the best, you know, good judo and good sambo, right? I would say Japan, probably Japan, due to judo popularity. Japanese are the cleanest. Um, I would say Iran by sheer numbers of wrestlers, and
Not
as
the ground.
and probably Brazil due to jiu-jitsu and judo.
Yeah, definitely Brazil and jiu-jitsu is definitely getting big in Japan, which is interesting. Which is interesting. I mean, it feels like there is a new revolution. You know, I mean, it feels like it's weird because it's kind of when you think about it, it's kind of weird because jiu-jitsu came from Japan and they're training Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so it's a bit weird. They're trying like training their own techniques in a way. Kind of ironic. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of the techniques with the Brazilians, a lot of the triangle and all those techniques were actually taught them by. Apparently, the theory is that they taught them by another Japanese person, judo, and yeah, it's really interesting. That's coming all that. But yeah, do you think Japan will dominate jiu-jitsu? Or they like come back and be a good like sport, like be a high level country in jiu-jitsu?
Good chance, good chance. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah. Sorry. They already dominate in judo, and nobody, comes close or comes close, but never replicates. And I think if it gains popularity, and it's their sport anyway, it's their national sport or national art, there's a good chance they get as technical as everybody else, including Brazilians. But right now, man, yes, Brazilians, and then secondly, Americans are the best jiu-jiteros, in my observation and understanding.
Definitely, American as they call American Jiu-Jitsu, right? Which is just a
Yeah.
marketing
I
scheme.
know it's controversial, and I don't care what you call, but jiu-jitsu that's practiced in America is a good blend, man. Is contestable to Brazilian counterparts.
Yeah.
Catching up.
Uh, why would you say that is?
Quality of instruction.
No, I mean the pass. You said something about the pass. Why do you think? Like, what is about the Americans that they do? Like in terms of their guard and stuff that makes it better. That makes it that they've gotten like the level better
Because
than the
all
Brazilians.
good Brazilian instructors run to America, to express themselves financially, and due to infrastructure, they're on here. So there's a lot of good quality information in the United States.
Oh, okay, and training
Yeah,
session, and obviously
of
training and
course.
stuff. Money.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, definitely. Okay.
Ability of quality training.
So sorry. Say again.
Availability of quality training.
Definitely, definitely. Very, very good. America always has been good in grappling. I mean, they've always been up there, except judo. But they have some Olympic champions and stuff. It's like, it's the focus isn't there, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So yeah. Thank you very much uh, joining me in this podcast.
My pleasure, Schwan.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
Uh,
invite.
yeah. Would you say what is your last what is your last message? Any instructionals you have out there people can watch? Anything we can link or yeah
Mhm.
or
Guys, yeah, I don't have a store. You can buy my stuff on BJJ Fanatics and Budo Videos and Grappler's Guide and Jiu-Jitsu and something else. I'm sorry if I forget. Or if you want to hit me up directly on Instagram, I sell all this stuff too.
yeah. And Vlad also trains at his grappling gym in what's it called? Sorry, in Texas, the
It's
grappling
called
gym.
Koulikov Grappling Academy in Edinburgh, Texas.
Edinburgh, Texas. Yes, Edinburgh, Texas, guys. Go there. Yeah, thank you very much, Vlad. Thank you very much, Vlad, for joining the podcast.
My pleasure, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, anyone. Thank you very much, guys, and yeah, have a good day.
You too. You too.